There's a reason Jim Rohn said, miss a meal, but don't miss a book. Not because food isn't important, but because feeding your mind is even more vital than feeding your body. Your future doesn't depend on what you eat for lunch today. It depends on what you feed your mind every day. Your success, your peace, your income, your relationships. All of it flows from your thinking. And your thinking is shaped by what you read, listen to, watch, and absorb. Most people understand the idea of physical nutrition. You don't eat junk all day if you want to be healthy. But what about mental nutrition? Would you feed your mind junk and expect success? Let's break this down. 1. You become what you consume. You've heard the phrase, you are what you eat. Well, mentally, you are what you read. Books are not just ink on paper. They are ideas, philosophies, strategies, and values. And when you read them, you're taking someone else's lifetime of experiences and compressing it into your own understanding in a few pages. That's powerful. If you spend your days scrolling through empty content, watching distractions, feeding your mind sugar and fast food, your mind will become weak, distracted, and unfocused. But if you feed it with truth, clarity, wisdom, and principles, you will grow strong, focused, and wise. What you consume becomes who you are, and who you are determines what you attract to. The ROI of one book can be life-changing. Let's say you buy a 10 book on personal finance. You read it, you learn one concept, pay yourself first, and you apply it. Over the next year, you build your emergency fund. The next few years, you invest wisely. 10 years later, you're financially free, all from one book. What else gives you that kind of return? A meal lasts 6 hours. A book can last a lifetime. That's why Jim Rohn said, formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. Most people stop learning when school ends. That's a trap. Real winners keep learning until their last breath. They never miss the chance to grow their minds. Because they know every book is a seed. You don't just read books, you plant them. And with time, they grow into results, habits, systems, and outcomes that others call luck. 3. Books are conversations with great minds. Imagine sitting across the table from the greatest thinkers in history. What would you ask? What would you learn? Well, that's exactly what reading is. Books are conversations across time. When you read Marcus Aurelius, you sit with ancient wisdom. When you read Jim Rohn, you sit with success principles tested over decades. When you read biographies, you learn what made people win and what made others fail, and it's cheap. A War 15 book might contain a billionaire's mindset, a general's discipline, a poet's clarity. Why wouldn't you make time for that? It's like Jim Rohn said, don't just read the easy stuff. You may be entertained, but you will not grow. A growth comes when you stretch your mind, when you challenge your thinking, when you allow your comfort zone to be disturbed by someone wiser than you. 4. The discipline to read is the discipline to win. If you can discipline yourself to read daily, even 20 minutes, you can discipline yourself to do almost anything. Because reading requires you to slow down, focus, think deeply, delay gratification. And these are the very muscles you need to build a successful life. Reading is not about finishing books. It's about finishing the bad habits that keep you stuck. When you read, you're not just learning. You're practicing discipline, self-control, and delayed pleasure. That's Success 101. Most people say, I don't have time to read. Jim Rohn would say, then you don't have time to succeed. 5. Why most people skip books and stay stuck? Let's be honest. Why do most people avoid reading? It's boring. It takes too long. I'd rather watch something. I already know this stuff. But here's the truth. Those who avoid reading usually avoid growth. They prefer comfort over progress. But if you want to grow, you've got to go where growth lives. And growth lives in the pages of great books. You can't change your life until you change your thinking. And you can't change your thinking until you upgrade your input. 6. Make reading a non-negotiable, just like brushing your teeth, drinking water, or showing up to work. Make reading a daily habit. Even 10 pages a day adds up. That's 300 pages a month. That's 15 books a year. That's more than most people read in a decade. It's not about speed. It's about consistency. It's not about finishing fast. It's about absorbing deeply. Jim Rohn used to say, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines, practiced every day. Let reading be one of those disciplines. 7. Your library is more powerful than your living room. Some people invest thousands in a couch or a TV, but their bookshelf, empty. That's backwards. The books on your shelf will shape your mindset, skills, income, and future. The TV on your wall will only entertain you. Jim Rohn once said, if I look at your library and don't see much, I know how serious you are. You don't need 10,000 books, just the right ones, and the willingness to revisit them. 8. Books teach you what experience cannot experience is a great teacher, but it's often slow and expensive. Books let you borrow other people's experience, instantly and cheaply. You don't need to make every mistake yourself. Learn from the people who already did. Learn from their stories, their pain, their failures, their strategies. That's leverage. If someone spent 30 years learning a principle and wrote it in 30 pages, and you skip it, you just skipped a shortcut to wisdom. Books let you collapse time. You go farther, faster, with fewer regrets. 9. Reading is the gateway to personal freedom. When you read, you start to think for yourself. You stop following the crowd. You stop being manipulated by trends, noise, and marketing. You become your own person. You build clarity, strength, and confidence from within. That's freedom. And that's the kind of freedom Jim Rohn preached. Don't just read for information. Read for transformation. 10. Start today, not someday. Don't wait for the perfect book or the perfect time. Pick up a book. Open the page. Start reading. You never know which sentence could spark a breakthrough. Which chapter could unlock a dream. Which book could change your life. One book, one idea, one shift. That's all it takes. So if you ever face a choice between watching another pointless video or feeding your mind with a book, miss a meal, but don't miss that book. Because it's one thing to agree that reading is powerful. It's another thing to actually do it daily until it shapes your life. Let's begin with this truth. Success is a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Jim Rohn rating is one of those disciplines. So let's talk about how to make it stick. 1. Turn reading into a daily ritual. If something is important, you schedule it. You don't hope for time. You make time. Think of reading like brushing your teeth. You don't say, I'll brush my teeth when I feel inspired. You just do it. Reading should be the same. Start with 15-20 minutes a day. Same time, same place, same routine. Early morning before the world wakes up, during lunch break, right before bed, or a quiet hour on weekends. The point is to anchor the habit to something consistent. When your brain connects reading to a time or location, it becomes automatic. The first 10 days are hard. The next 20 are easier. After that, it becomes part of who you are. 2. Set a page goal. Not a time goal. Most people say, I'll read for 30 minutes. But then they stare at the page, drift off, scroll their phone, and call it done. Better strategy, set a page goal. I'll read 10 pages today. I'll finish one chapter. I'll read until I hit one big idea. This keeps you engaged. You focus on completion, not just duration. Jim Rohn would say, don't major in minor things. Scrolling for 30 minutes isn't progress, but reading 10 pages of life-changing wisdom, that's leverage. 3. Create a reading environment that invites focus. If your environment is full of distractions, even the best book won't help. So design a reading zone. Clean desk or cozy corner, phone in another room, a notebook nearby for insights, maybe some light instrumental music. Make it a sanctuary for growth. This is not entertainment. This is transformation. Treat your reading time like a meeting with your future self. Would you cancel that meeting just to check Instagram? No. Then don't cancel this one either. 4. Choose books that match your season of life. Jim Rohn often said, don't read a book once and check it off. Go back and study it again and again. When life changes, so does the meaning of the book. Some books speak to you right now. Others will speak to you later. So don't force yourself to read what doesn't resonate. Instead, read what solves your current problem, what supports your current goal, what deepens your current understanding if you're starting a business. Read on strategy if you're feeling stuck. Read on mindset if you're chasing growth. Read biographies, success stories, or leadership. The right book at the right time can become a turning point in your life. 5. Don't just read. Reflect. Reading without thinking is like eating without digesting. You won't absorb anything. So after every chapter, ask yourself, what did I learn? How does this apply to me? What one action can I take from this? That's the real power of reading. Not just knowing, but doing. Jim Rohn said, don't let your learning lead to knowledge. Let your learning lead to action. Underline, highlight, write in the margins. Keep a journal for takeaways. Discuss the book with someone. Make the book part of your life, not just your shelf. 6. Carry a book with you everywhere. This is one of the simplest habits of successful people. Never leave home without a book. Keep one in your bag, car, or phone. E-book. Waiting in line. Read. Stuck in traffic. Listen to an audiobook. Traveling. Use that time to grow. It's about turning dead time into learning time. You'll be amazed how much reading you can fit into your life without changing your schedule. just by replacing noise with wisdom. Replace 10 minutes of social media scrolling with 10 pages of a good book. Do that daily, and in 1 year, your mind will not be the same. 7. Read slowly. But read for depth. This is not a race. You're not reading to impress someone. You're reading to improve yourself. Some people brag about finishing 52 books a year, but if they don't remember anything, what's the point? Read slowly. Read again. Reread key chapters. Let the wisdom sink in. Jim Rohn didn't read 1,000 books. He mastered a few powerful ones. You don't need a million quotes. You need a few truths you live by. 8. Build a personal library. Your temple of growth starts small, but start now. One shelf of hand-picked books is better than a house full of decoration. Your library is your mental gym, your tools, your mentors, your escape, your training ground. Whenever you need answers, go to your shelf. When you're low on inspiration, go to your shelf. When you need direction, go to your shelf. This is how you build a life you're proud of, with wisdom at your fingertips. Jim Rohn said, "Poor people have big TVs. Rich people have big libraries. Start building yours." 9. Read the greats. The best books get better every time you read them. Why? Because you change. Your mindset evolves. Your experiences grow. Your problems shift. So the same words hit you differently. You'll read a line you skipped before, and now it punches you in the heart. Make it a habit to revisit the books that shaped you. Your top 5 life-changing books, the book that woke you up, the one that saved you from failure, the one that made you dream bigger. Let those books keep speaking to you, year after year. 10. Surround yourself with readers. Want to read more? Hang out with people who read. Join a book club, start a reading group, or just challenge a friend. Let's read one book this month. When your environment values growth, you grow naturally. Jim Rohn always taught, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That includes people you read. So if your real friends don't push you, let your book friends do it. Hang out with John Maxwell, Stephen Covey, Tony Robbins, Napoleon Hill, Jim Rohn. They're waiting for you in the pages. 11. If you fall off, get back on. You might miss a day, or 2, or a week. That's okay. The goal isn't perfection. It's progress. Just get back up. Pick up where you left off. Recommit. Refocus. Reading is like compound interest. If you stay consistent, the returns are massive. But if you quit every time you miss a day, you lose the power of momentum. Treat every page like a brick. Every day you read, you're building your future. 12. Let reading reshape your identity. This is the biggest reason reading matters. It changes who you believe you are. You stop saying, I'm lazy. I'm not smart enough. I can't do that. And you start saying, I'm a student of life. I learn every day. I feed my mind with excellence. And guess what? When your identity shifts, your actions shift. And when your actions shift, your life shifts. Reading isn't just a habit. It's a mirror that shows you who you can become. 13. Your future demands a smarter you. The world is changing fast. Jobs are changing. Markets are shifting. Technology is evolving. If you don't keep learning, you'll get left behind. But if you do, you'll rise above. Reading prepares you for tomorrow, today. It helps you think critically, adapt quickly, and lead confidently. Jim Rohn once said, success is neither magical nor mysterious. Success is the natural consequence of consistently applying the basic fundamentals. Reading is a fundamental. Don't skip it. 14. Build a reading habit that builds a better you. This is not about books. This is about you. Becoming stronger, thinking clearer, leading better, earning more, loving deeper, living wiser. All of that starts with a better input. And a better input starts with one decision. I will read daily because my future deserves it. So from today onward, to carry a book, schedule reading time. Choose books that grow you. Reflect and apply. Never let a day go by without feeding your mind. Because not all books are equal. Some books entertain you. Some books inform you. But a few books, they transform you. These are the books that shape your decisions, habits, values, and outcomes. Let's walk through what kinds of books you must read and why they shape high achievers. 1. Books that teach you to think. Success doesn't begin with doing. It begins with thinking. The first category of must-read books are those that shape your thinking. How to think clearly, how to ask better questions, how to challenge assumptions, how to reason with logic instead of emotion. Why is this so critical? Because most people never stop to question why they do what they do. They react instead of reflect. They follow instead of lead. Jim Rohn used to say, don't be a follower, be a student. Books that teach you how to think turn you into a student of life, not a victim of it. Examples. Thinking, Fast and Slow, by Daniel Kahneman. The Art of Thinking Clearly, by Rolf Dobelli. How to Read a Book by Mortimer Adler. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. These books sharpen your mind like a blade, and a sharp mind cuts through confusion, fear, and failure. 2. Books that reveal principles of success. Jim Rohn believed in principles, not fads. Trends fade, but timeless truths remain. The second kind of book you need are those that reveal the laws of success: discipline, responsibility, consistency, vision, value creation, compound effect, character. These are the invisible forces behind every successful life. Without them, talent collapses. With them, even average people build extraordinary results. Examples: The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Atomic Habits by James Clear. The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. These aren't just motivational books. They are manuals for living. Read them, study them, apply them. 3. Books that teach wealth and financial intelligence. Let's be honest, money matters. Not because it makes you happy, but because it gives you freedom, choices, and peace. The problem is school rarely teaches us how to manage, grow, or multiply money. That's why so many smart people stay broke. So you must read books that teach you how money works. Examples: Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin. These books shift your mindset from spending to investing, from earning to building assets, from working for money to making money work for you. Jim Rohn always emphasized, you can't do much for others if you're broke. Reading these books gives you the tools to build wealth ethically and intelligently. 4. Books that build emotional intelligence. The smarter you get with people, the farther you go in life. Success is not just logic, it's emotion. Can you lead? Can you resolve conflict? Can you handle criticism? Can you build strong relationships? That's where emotional intelligence comes in, and books can teach it to you. Examples: Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. Dare to Lead by Brené Brown. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. These books help you understand yourself and others. They give you control over your mind, mood, and reactions. And that's worth more than gold, because a person who stays calm under pressure is already 10 steps ahead of everyone else. 5. Books that share biographies and life stories. If you want to shorten your path to success, study the lives of people who already walked it. Biographies are compressed experience. You get to see how great people thought, what tough choices they made, where they failed, what habits they had, how they stayed disciplined, what sacrifices they made, and best of all, you get all of that in a few hundred pages. Examples: Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela. The Autobiography of Malcolm X. Titan, The Life of John D. Rockefeller by Ron Chernow. Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. Nike founder Jim Rohn believed, if you want to be wealthy, study wealth. If you want to be wise, study wisdom. If you want to be strong, study strength. Biographies are your secret weapon. 6. Books that feed your spirit and character. Success without peace is failure. That's why your reading list must include books that feed your soul. Books that help you live with integrity, faith, compassion, and humility. These books give you perspective. They help you rise above ego. They teach you how to win on the inside. Examples: Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Franklov. The Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Tao Te Ching. Based on your belief system, Jim Rohn always emphasized that success is not just about becoming rich. It's about becoming valuable. These books help you become the kind of person others can trust, follow, and admire. 7. Books that improve your communication and influence. You can have the best ideas, but if you can't express them, they stay buried. Communication is a skill you can learn, and when you do, it opens doors, builds trust, helps you lead, helps you sell, helps you inspire. Great readers become great communicators, and great communicators become great leaders. Examples: How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Talk Like Ted by Carmen Gallo. Crucial Conversations by Patterson, Grenny, Macmillan, and Switzler. Influence by Robert Cialdini. Jim Rohn was a world-class speaker, not because he had fancy words, but because he had clarity, simplicity, and power. Books helped him get there. They'll help you too. 8. Books that remind you who you can become. Finally, every person needs to read books that awaken the giant within. The kind of book that makes you sit up straighter, think bigger, dream again, take bold action, let go of fear. Books that make you believe again in yourself, your vision, your potential. Examples: Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins, You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, The Magic of Thinking Big by David J. Schwartz, The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. These books aren't fluffy motivation. They are fire starters. They remind you what's possible when you commit. And as Jim Rohn always said, the same wind blows on us all. The difference is the set of your sail. These books help you reset your sail toward greatness. How to build your $1,000,000 bookshelf. Let's wrap this up with a plan. If you want to build a reading habit that shapes your thinking, income, relationships, and character, do this. Pick one book from each category above: read one per month or per 2 weeks. Highlight key insights and review them monthly. Apply one new idea from each book into your real life every 6 months. Reflect on how far you've come. This is not about speed. It's about depth, discipline, and direction. You don't need to read 1,000 books. You need to master 10 books that master your life. Final thoughts for part 3. The kind of books you read determine the kind of life you live. Read junk, think small. Read deep, think big. Read daily, grow steadily. Read wisely, live richly. So when someone asks, what's one habit that changed your life? Let your answer be, I fed my mind every day. I never missed a book. And if you're faced with a choice today, miss a meal, but don't miss a book. Reading doesn't change your life. Applying what you read does. Jim Rohn always said, don't let your learning lead to knowledge. Let your learning lead to action. Too many people are over, read and under, applied. They've read 50 books, but still live like they've read none. So the final lesson is this: how do you take what you read and make it show up in your behavior, your goals, your income, your relationships, your future? Let's dig deep. 1. Apply one idea at a time. Reading a book is like digging for gold. You don't need to walk away with the whole mountain. Just one golden idea, one strategy, one new mindset, one changed habit. That's enough to shift the course of your week, your month, or even your life. Jim Rohn said, some people read so fast, they never stop to let the idea sink in. Don't race through books. Pause, reflect, act. Pick one key idea from your current book and put it into practice for 7 days. Not all at once. Just one thing. Master it. That's how transformation happens too. Keep an idea journal. Most people forget 90% of what they read after a few days. Why? Because they don't capture it. Start keeping a book journal. A place where you write quotes that hit you, ideas that make you think, actions you want to take, questions you want to explore, aha moments that wake you up. This turns reading into engagement. Instead of being a passive consumer, you become an active student. It's like Jim Rohn said, don't just read a book, wrestle with it, argue with it, make it work for you. Your journal becomes a map of your evolving mind. Review it weekly. That's how lessons become tools. 3. Share what you learn with others. One of the fastest ways to retain what you read is to teach it. When you explain something to someone else, you clarify it in your own mind, you discover what you don't understand, you deepen your memory, you inspire someone else. Talk about the book with a friend. Post your key takeaway online. Start a small group. Record a video. Write a blog. Jim Rohn often said, we learn best when we're trying to help someone else learn. Knowledge multiplies when shared. 4. Create a do this now list from every book. Every time you finish a book, ask yourself, what 3 things from this book can I do right now? Not just good ideas, but actions. Make a do this now list and keep it visible. Update your morning routine. Have a tough conversation. Change how you handle your money. Rebuild your habits. Start a journal. Cut a distraction. Schedule time to think. If the book doesn't change anything in your calendar or behavior, then you only read it. You didn't use it. And Jim Rohn believe if you don't use it, you lose it. 5. Measure the impact of what you read. Reading isn't for entertainment. It's for elevation. So check in every month or quarter and ask, am I more focused? Is my income growing? Are my relationships improving? Do I feel more in control of my time and choices? Am I living with greater peace, clarity, and purpose? If not, you're either reading the wrong books or not applying what you read. Hold yourself accountable. Track the real life impact of the knowledge you're feeding yourself. Reading without impact is just mental candy. 6. Use reading to solve real problems. Want your reading to explode in value? Tie it to real world problems. Don't just read randomly. Read with purpose. Need discipline. Read on habits. Feeling lost. Read on values and clarity. Want to grow income? Read on skills and value creation. Feeling overwhelmed? Read on simplicity, time, and boundaries. When your pain and purpose drive your reading, your mind wakes up. Suddenly, it's not just interesting, it's urgent. That's when reading gets results. 7. Create systems, not just ideas. Ideas are nice, but systems are what change lives. A book might give you a great idea, but what will make that idea stick? Turn it into a system. Examples: idea, wake up early. System, set alarms, no phone before bed. Plan morning task night before. Idea, save more money. System, auto transfer 10% of income weekly. ID, read daily. System, 20-minute slot on calendar. Book beside bed. Systems don't rely on emotion. They make success automatic. Jim Rohn would say, don't trust yourself to remember. Trust the system you build. Books give you blueprints. You must build the structure. 8. Revisit the same books every year. Some books are worth reading once. A few are worth reading every year, for life. Why? Because while you are not the same person year after year, your goals evolve, your mindset shifts, your problems change, your maturity deepens. So the same book will speak to you differently every time. Choose your core shelf. These are your life books. Maybe. Think and Grow Rich. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. As a man thinketh. The magic of thinking big. The Bible, or any spiritual text that anchors you, go back to them. Mine them for new gold. Every year. Jim Rohn used to say, repetition is the mother of skill. 9. Let books shape your identity. This is the ultimate power of reading. You stop seeing yourself as you were and start becoming who you could be. Books change your identity. From a procrastinator to a person of action. From a complainer to a problem solver. From a drifter to a man, woman of purpose. From a doubter to a believer. From a taker to a giver. Books remind you you are not stuck. You are not finished. You are always evolving. Feed your mind the identity you want, not the one you inherited. You can rewrite your story, one book at a time. 10. Build a life philosophy. Through books, Jim Rohn always emphasized philosophy, the set of principles you live by. Books are the raw materials for that philosophy, but you must reflect and craft it into your own code. Ask yourself, what do I now believe about success after reading? What do I believe about discipline? About relationships? About time? About money? About purpose? Don't just live by accident. Live by design. Books give you ideas. You must shape those ideas into convictions. And convictions lead to consistent action. Final summary, how to turn reading into real-life change. Let's recap the journey. Step 1T. Read with focus. Choose the right books for your goals and season. Schedule your reading time. Create a peaceful, focused reading space. Step 2. Capture what matters. Keep a journal. Highlight, underline, take notes. Reflect after each chapter. Step 3. Apply what you learn. Choose one key idea per book. Create a do this now list. Build systems around new habits. Track your progress. Step 4. Share and revisit. Teach others what you've learned. Read your top 5 books yearly. Let books shape your identity and philosophy. Step 5. Stay consistent. Feed your mind daily. Keep growing, adjusting, applying. Never stop learning. Jim Rohn's final message to all of us: everything changes when you change. And you change when you change what you feed your mind. Books are not just for students in school. Books are for warriors, builders, leaders, parents, artists, entrepreneurs, anyone who wants to grow. Books are your fuel. Books are your mentors. Books are your toolbox. Books are your compass. So if there's one habit that guarantees growth, it's the habit of reading with application. If you ever get too busy, too distracted, too tired, remember this truth: miss a meal, but don't miss a book. Because one book can feed your mind, and a fed mind can feed the rest of your life.